All right, no holiday stuff anymore. We're done with that. Let's moving on. It's 2026, people. Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a safe and happy New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Disappointing beating by the Balls to the Illinois and Nashville stuff. It's just a bad bowl season all over for me. I'll admit right off the bat that I'm a big whiff on all my predictions. So I'll let you predict what my predictions were. Quick happy birthday. It is Friday, the 2nd of January, and that happy birthday is for the one and only Becky Duncan-Massey. I don't know, she's like 85, something like that. Anyway, I like Becky. She's one of my favorites. You guys know that. I'm teasing about her age. That's not cool. Almost screaming, everybody. Go to your favorite podcast provider. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. You're on YouTube. Go to your favorite podcast provider. Like, friend, share, follow, text to your friends. Do what you can do to support the show. I have made a few steps in the direction of getting this debate off. I should have more information next week, and so you can start bothering Larson and Kim and Betsy and anybody else that says they're officially running for mayor to come be a part of this. So anyway, I emailed Chris Davis this week. Chris Davis, you get your mention as usual. We'll talk about that right off the bat. Here we go. Yeah, so I emailed Chris Davis, and he replied in his awesomeness that he is, and I felt like an idiot because it was something I did know. I just didn't put it together and asked the question instead of thought about it for a few minutes.
Is that the new law change?
A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the Bernie Lyons being in the ICU, and maybe it would be appropriate to maybe have the campaign announce that maybe he's not running because, you know, it's a short time window for these campaigns. And, you know, I think it's important for the public to know who's actually a real option in play and stuff like that. And then, as I joked about last week, that didn't age well because he died like, that episode came out Saturday. He died like on Monday. And then come the next Friday, I mentioned it. And I still stand by my original statement. However, petition pickup didn't start until this week.
Okay, I was about to say, there's already been signs up for a few weeks. So
right, and he's had signs up since like November.
Really?
But he has not been an official candidate. He does have a campaign treasurer and a campaign finance account. And Chris was nice enough to answer the question I didn't ask and explain how his estate and or campaign, I'm not exactly, he didn't like the legalese exactness of it, but his campaign will have to disperse the funds that he has collected already in the appropriate manner as per Tennessee Code 800, and then he sent me where I can find it in the Tennessee Code if I want to,
right,
on specifically how they're allowed to disperse these funds. So, I feel kind of dumb, but I do feel more informed or re-informed, I suppose, maybe a better way to say it, because like I knew that. I knew petition pickup hadn't officially opened yet, but it's just like it was so assumed at this point that Bernie was going to run for that seat that pickup is irrelevant at that point, because you know if you're that far in a campaign, you've already got dozens of the big signs around town and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure you're pretty confident and your team's pretty confident that you're going to get that petition picked up and signed and turned right back in anyway.
Right.
But he never picked it up, so he's not a candidate. So so the other question that I didn't ask that he didn't answer either, but that I mentioned that my foible to Jesse earlier today, there is precedent somewhere. Jesse can't remember when and if it's ever happened officially, but it has happened that a candidate has died between petition pickup return and election day, and there are some rules that they have to do, and the election commission has to get together and vote on how to handle certain stuff and whatnot. I mean, we've talked about it a couple years ago. Some guy that was dead got like 5% of the voting population. Not around here. It wasn't a local story.
Yeah.
But he died during the campaign and got a bunch of votes. I mean, and hell, I guess to be fair, that John Federer, what's his name?
Oh, Fetterman?
Fetterman. Yeah. Like, he was in a coma when that election cycle started, and he came out of it and wasn't super awesome.
He was in the hospital. He's in a coma.
I mean, he had some brain damage or something. That's what I recall the story was. He got in a car wreck or something like that.
He had a stroke.
Or a stroke. Yeah, he got fucked up pretty good. Anyway, and he went on to run and win, and then, you know, depending on where you are on the Israel conversation, be either the best guy or the worst guy ever, depending on how you feel about what's going on in the Middle East right now. But he did beat was he the guy that was against Dr. Oz, or he was against the Shapiro character that was a crazy person from Pennsylvania?
No, Shapiro was the governor.
Okay, Because
Not
Dr.
sure he
Oz
was running. It might have been running against Oz.
Dr. Oz was in one of those races in Pennsylvania at the time, but then there was another guy because that was one of the cases that I don't think it was the Dr. Oz race. I think he was against somebody else because the guy that ended up winning the Republican primary was heavily secretly supported by some of the local Democratic groups because they thought he was a better candidate, an easier candidate to beat.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember talking about that at the time, but I don't remember who the candidate was because that's a risk. That's a risk, and that's how we get Donald Trump, and that's how we get some other characters in play. And so,
I remember a comedian making a joke. I want to say it was one of the Midwestern states. That I think a dead guy or somebody had died in between. I'm assuming petition or whatever, but he ended up winning the election.
I mean,
he made a huge joke about they had the choice between this guy and a dead guy, and they were like, I got to go with the dead guy.
I mean, for voting logic, I get it. That's the sad part. The more I think about voting, the more I think about trying to do this debate, and the more I think about how to articulate to other people or here on the show about how I feel or what the appropriate thing to do in not to do. I'm not trying to tell people what to do, of course, but how to get people information to make an informed decision on an election on. The more I know for a fact it doesn't matter. Realistically, there's a couple groups out there that are really hateful on Larson J for his lack of vote for or elect me for mayor. He likes to all his letterhead now already kind of implies that he's already the mayor.
Right.
And they're making a big stink out of that, and that's, disqualifying for office, and it's a little bit misleading, and I agree with that. I don't know if it's disqualifying for qualifier for office, but it's not that they hate him that much. It's just that they have a candidate, and that's the enemy, and so whatever they can do to rub stink on, and at least on some level, this is getting some traction because I read through some of the comments on one of these where it was 70 comments, and it was 35, 40 different people yeah, that's disgusting. You should be able to, how do we get him sued? How do we get him kicked off the ballot? Stuff like that. Because theoretically, it is against the rules. Maybe not against the law per se. And so, apparently, there are people that have filed official complaints with the election commission, to which Chris Davis said that's not what they do, and directed them to the Sharm-Allen's office. And Sharm-Allen has taken, at least unless these people are completely talking shit online, which is perfectly possible. There have been multiple requests for investigation or whatever to the DA's office to do something about this candidate misleading the public.
Right. Like I said, as far as it's nothing criminal. I don't even know if it's
right.
a civil thing.
I mean, but there's got but the question here is so if there's a rule on it somewhere, whether it's a local or a state election rule, who is the party who has any authority over that, and whichever party that is, with that authority, what power, what teeth do they have to do anything with it?
Yeah, I would have thought election commission.
Right.
If it's breaking one of their rules or whatever.
So I don't know. I think it's state election. I think it's a state election law or rule that everybody's referencing. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think it's that big a effort deal. I mean, I think I do agree that it's dumb and it's a little bit misleading or whatever, but I don't of the issues that matter, of things that are important.
It's not that egregious.
It's not that, right. It's not that's not that to be blunt and forthright with my feelings on how this applies compared to other candidates. That is less of an egregious act by an elected official than an elected official going to a different body and speaking before it on a personal level, even though everybody and their brother knows who they are and what their elected position is, and implying that the elected position that they represent agrees with her. Oh, was that blatant enough? Was that vague enough?
Borderline.
Whatever. Betsy went to the fucking State House. That was this year. We forgot that in our looking back at the year thing. That was early. That was the beginning of this year was when she went to the State House in that special called session because it was an emergent need for some reason by Governor Lee to pass it in a special session because he couldn't get it passed in a regular session, which says everything about where the problems are with this fucking thing in the first place. But that she went there and spoke as a citizen, which she has the right to do, although it's still inappropriate to me. Right. That's more egregious than leaving off the vote for on your letterhead. because that shows the level of which you will go to, again, like, she's running for mayor. Mayor's got nothing to do with schools. The only thing they really can do is approve the budget that the schools give them or make adjustments generally down to what the school budgets are. But there's a level that they are required by law to hit, so there's not a lot. The only thing that theoretically the mayor of Knox County can do with the schools is really give them more money than they ask for. The number that they ask for is going to be the minimum the state's going to require them to get by state law, and so the county has to approve that part no matter what. So, the only thing this mayor could do is put more money, or maybe more indirectly, the mayor could encourage the school board to ask for more, the Knox County schools to ask for more money than the state minimum requirement.
Right.
And then approve it. But outside of that, there's nothing they can do on that. And so to me, the issue I have with Betsy in this whole thing is on the school board part of things is that if she is willing to go out and speak in public on an issue that the body that she's a part of at the time was, a couple of years ago when they did their legislative agenda, they were adamantly opposed to vouchers. And then like 2 years ago, they just left it off their list because they couldn't get enough people to vote for it. But they certainly didn't have enough people voting the other way saying we should put it on our list as a pro. And so like the last 2 years for the school board's agenda, asking legislatures to and not to do things, vouchers were just not on the list. They were discussed about putting it on the list, but it never got enough votes to pass one way or the other. But as the chair of that body, to go out and speak on behalf of an issue that the board that she is the chair of couldn't agree on enough to ask for as a body, that I don't know how else to describe that other than like, it's like, okay, well, your personal agenda you act as if your personal agenda and your personal feelings on a matter outranks the duty that that has been bestowed upon you by the residents for voting for you. And if that's how you treat an issue, then I don't want to vote for you because, we can have an issue here that's actually in the mayor's wheelhouse that if she feels the way she feels about it and county commission feels one way about it and the public at large is all in agreement that this is what we want, but Betsy wants it her way, she'll go out and get it her way with no regard for what everybody around her or everybody that's in the system that's part of the machine that she is the head of feels about it. She's just going to do it. And she'll do it kind of backhanded and sneakily because going to the state house and speaking like that, she didn't even tell anybody she was going. She did ask she knew it was, she was smart enough to ask the county legal department if it would be in any violation of her duties legally, to which they said no, as long as she had clarified that she is speaking as a citizen and not as the board chair.
Right.
But she knew which also says that she knew she was kind of going out on a limb
that she thought could be wrong.
Right. Like if it was
I'm not going to get in trouble, right?
Right. The morality be damned, but the legal was, it's not illegal, so I guess I can do it.
Right.
Like you can do things that are legal that are immoral. And I think maybe that's a good shorthand version of a way to describe it. I should probably work as I'm working on trying to make this articulate this argument. It's like just because it's legal doesn't mean it's moral, and I think what she did was immoral for her job. Maybe that's a shortened version of it.
Yeah.
But that being said, Larson's not doing himself any favors with that stupid headline thing and some of his other issues and like all the diggings and dirts about this theory that Knox County's wasting a ton of money, and Larson's been, on county commission and commission chair for a number of years and stuff like that, and so they're like the activists and players out here are trying to tie Larson to wasteful spending of Knox County, which is a fair argument, I suppose, if you can find it. Which goes back to the question I'm dying.
It's easier just to throw the mud,
right?
No one
I'm
else
dying to
is
see what the waste
up.
is, right? And because it's good. It's a hard to defend. It's a hard item to defend. Like, show me what waste are you talking about? What did I vote for that was a waste of money? And it's easy if you have a particular philosophy that you can say, well, I think it's a waste of money that we spent money on X. And if enough people philosophically feel that way, like I don't think For all our atheists out there, it's like I don't feel like I'm not okay with Knox County spending $1 in any religious manner or on any religious nonprofits or something like that. And Knox County spent millions of dollars with religious nonprofits, CARM being the easiest and most visible one because it is basically our city, county, metro homeless service center is the CARM building down there downtown. And CARM is, it's the M in CARM is ministries. And, Knox County and the city of Knoxville both spend millions of dollars as part of their agreed trying to help the situation that is the problem of homelessness. And so it's like, well, I don't believe that a single tax dollar should go to any religious thing, vouchers included, even though I'm sure, obviously, Betsy doesn't feel that way about it. Larson, I don't know where he's at on, religious tax spending, whatever stuff. But, if you're an anti-government spending on anything that has any affiliation with any religion, then you could say Larson wasted money on that. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess if that's your philosophical core, but that money would the service that religious group was providing would have had to been some level of that would have had to been done and paid for by Knox County, and they could have spent more money with another group that wasn't religious doing the work. We could spin up a new department of Knox County Department of Homelessness that would go out there and do whatever they can do and whatever they feel like they need to do as a county or whatever. But that would cost way more money to do as much or less.
I was about to ask if Salvation Army was religiously affiliated, and I thought I was like, oh, Salvation.
Salvation from poorness. I don't know. I think there's something. I don't know what it is, but you're right. But so I don't know, honestly, the more I think about it, I don't know, I haven't got a lot of Kim. My gut reaction to Kim, and I need to talk to her about this to get some more details. My gut reaction to Kim is Kim is a NIMBY advocate. She's been a NIMBY advocate. That's how she got her start in local politics. She is a neighborhood organizer. She is a
smart development,
responsible development advocate. Smart development, whatever fun phrase the NIMBYs use to say that they're not actually NIMBYs, that's who Kim has been. And I don't fault her for that, and it's certainly a politically advantageous spot to be, because I can't count the number of times I've said the phrase in my house, go back to California or wherever the fuck you came from, person driving down Kingston Pike called crazy. I can't count the number of times where I look around and I go, we are way busier. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more fucking people around here. Stop moving here, people. I've said the phrase, I get it, but I also, I don't believe I have the right to actually say that with any legal earnest. I don't believe I can legally say, don't move here anymore.
Right.
I do acknowledge that we as a county have the right to make it difficult or expensive, but in doing so, what's the result? My one solution, which is the only solution to slow growth in Knox County, is
go Metro.
Well, maybe, but no. Is make it suck. Make it undesirable. Make it more expensive to live here. Raise property tax. Raise sales tax. Reduce services. Let crime go crazy. That's how you. That's how you stop growth. The natural part that is awesome about Knoxville is not changing. I mean, I guess. At some level, you could be like, yeah, sure, we'll tear down. We're gonna flatten that mountain and build a neighborhood on it. That might piss them. I mean, that'd piss people off, no doubt. But the amount of earth-moving destruction we would have to do to make Knoxville not a beautiful place as far as naturally around us,
right?
And why Knoxville is awesome. Knoxville's not. To me, Knoxville is awesome in its own right, a little bit. But the awesome thing about living in Knoxville as a resident of Knoxville is, we went to Preds games last year. I go to a couple Titans games every once in a while. Go down to Atlanta for something cool and special. Go over to Charlotte for this, that, and the other. You're within, I think you're within 6 hours, 7 hours of a beach if you want to go to the beach. And you can go on a Gulf Coast beach, or you can go on an East Coast beach and be there in 6-7 hours. You can get up to DC and go up to the Northeast and do all that stuff within 11 or 12 hours. It's not hard to do a lot of things. You can get to Chicago in 10 hours. And so if you want to do cool stuff and be in the middle of it, and it's fairly inexpensive comparatively to other places to live, and so paying a little extra to travel a little bit to go do something is affordable because your mortgage or your rent or your taxes are as low as they are compared to if you were already living in Chicago or something like that. Like that's not going to change. We can't change that. That is just naturally what is. And I think the other big part of why Knoxville specifically has become so popular is because the way we work as humans is changing. This need, especially in the creative spaces, that the need to be in LA or New York in the creative spaces is going away. Yes, you still have like NBC proper is in New York, Saturday Night Live's in New York, but you can be a content creator of fairly good value and good income and just have your YouTube channel and pay the bills.
Yeah.
Like it's not like if you're at the level of doing so, you don't need to be in New York or LA to do those jobs anymore. Like it's one of the things Rogan used to talk about. He's like, he went to LA because he wanted to do comedy. He went to LA for a show, but he stayed in LA for comedy.
Is that where Fear Factor was or something?
Well, that was when he was on, that radio show. Talk with
News Talk.
News Talk, yeah, with God, he had Daryl Hannah.
It's been there that long?
Do what?
It's been there that long?
What, in L.A.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He moved out there for the show. Well, no, that show was in New York. That show was filmed in New York, and then he got
News Talk Radio, I think. Yeah.
Talk Radio. No, what was
I like it because it had Stephen Root,
Dick,
Phil Hartman. Yeah.
I said Daryl Hannah, and that's what I was thinking is Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the dude from Kids in the Hall? Fucking brilliant.
Oh,
great comedic actor.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. I don't know. Rogan talks about it. It's like, because you had, like, he's like, because back in that time you had to be in LA or New York because the only way you could go out and work comedy if you weren't big enough to be on tour was New York or LA because it's the only place you could go that had a couple of comedy clubs and you could go and you could work out your material and stuff like that. And a lot of guys back then were in LA or New York because they wanted to be in comedy to get signed to be either the next Late Show host or to get a sitcom.
Yeah.
And so that's where like your Drew Carey show and all that kind of stuff comes from. They're out doing stand-up in the local scene of these two major media centers and, people that work in the studios that want to go find talent for a new project, go find talent in the comedy clubs. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. You could be in Knoxville doing local comedy stuff and putting it out on Facebook and YouTube or whatever, and these talent agents can find it if you even want to go that route. But you could just do it and get enough following that you can make money and be fine. And you don't need to be in these big media hubs anymore. You don't need to be in the middle of it. And I think it goes well beyond media, obviously, because not everybody that's moving to Knoxville wants to be a country singer. They're all going to Nashville.
Yeah.
But I just think that's where I think that is a the influx of people into Tennessee, Knoxville, Nashville specifically, is a result of the shifting way that we work as Americans. Because you don't have to be in whatever it is to do the work anymore. If you're a major marketing company or something like that, you could be a pretty high, pretty high on the ladder of whatever of a major marketing company, but you can do it from home in Knoxville. You don't have to be in New York, maybe fly up every once in a while and go to meetings and stuff like that, but right. You can do 90% of your work out of your house. So why would you live in an expensive place when you can live in a cheap place? Why would you live in an ugly place when you live in a pretty place?
Yeah.
And both of those things are true for Knoxville. So unless, going back to where this started, the only way to get those people to stop coming here is to not make it economically advantageous and actually to exceed the economics issue to make that, well, if I'm paying the same, at least it's pretty. Well, we got to exceed it. I'm paying more for the pretty. It's the only way we're going to get there. Plus, it's got to suck, and people got to, like, our murder rate needs to go up and all these other things. Like our infrastructure stays the same. We don't do any better about fixing roads. We just charge more taxes and throw it in the river or something.
Throw it in the river.
I'm just saying, like, that's the only that's the only way we're going to get people to leave or quit coming and leave. And so if you're out there and if you're out there in Farragut and you want your 5-acre faux ranch that you live in to stop getting squeezed in by all these McMansion neighborhood squeezed in on all sides of you and stuff like that, and you want to be able to drive down your half-mile driveway and get on Kingston Pike and get into Farragut, do your shopping, and get home without traffic, you got to get these people to go away. And that's just not going to happen. Like, I just don't understand how, I don't understand how to articulate the fact that that's not going to happen. If somebody out there has a solution in policy where we can make this a less desirable destination for people to move to, I'm all ears, but I can't imagine what it's going to be that you and I are going to like as residents.
Right.
You know, like this recode stuff that's coming up in Knox County is going to allow more density, which allows more people to live here, but it's not changing anything. It's just going to make it so that people can capitalize on the property they have and make it into 2 properties instead of 1 to sell off and build houses on. It's going to allow more density. You know, which honestly, that's the other thing to me too. It's like if you want life to be easier with the amount of people that we have, you want to push density. You want more density so that hopefully you have more people in a smaller area so that the outlying areas can stay more rural. Because right now the result is sprawl.
Right.
Because I can't, there's nothing there. Like I can't, like there's a 1 acre lot that's only allowed 2 units on it. Well, that gets built and filled up, and I don't get one of those. So the next closest thing that's available that's in my price range, blah 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 blah, is out there in what's the whole thing over there? I'm blanking out on it.
Over where?
Like on the way up towards Oak Ridge,
Turkey Creek?
No, off of Mississippi Parkway. That whole that's blowing up. It's got the new high school and.
Oh, Hardin Valley.
Hardin Valley, yeah. So like Hardin Valley only exists because of sprawl. Like Hardin Valley would exist. It would be getting built out at this point, but how quickly and how much blew up in that section of town was completely a result of it was available space and it was buildable space and
it's like a connection between Carnes and Farragut.
Right. And it was right, it had more infrastructure. I won't say it had the infrastructure to handle the total volume that it put in, but it had more infrastructure available to take on because you had Lovell and what road is that? Oak Ridge Highway?
Hardin Valley Road?
It's the one that goes, there's the one that's on Pillissippi that's Lovell and Lovell curves around or whatever. Then it goes straight through and then it tees off by that Food City. And then they finally finished it. If you keep going straight across that intersection, it goes across to, that's Oak Ridge Highway or Western. But there's another road between the two. Middlebrook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where Middlebrook continues on the north side of Cedar Bluff. That Lovell Road-ish, whatever it's called. That's out by your old apartment. What was that road that your old apartment was on?
That was Lovell.
Yeah. Like that continues on, hits Middlebrook, and then now goes straight across Middlebrook and continues on to Western/Oak Ridge Highway, which continues on to Clinton Highway, which continues on to 75 North.
Yeah.
Like it's like, especially now that they finished that one project between Middlebrook and Western, now that that's opened up, it's a good, you can get anywhere pretty easily from up there. So anyway, I'm open. I'm out, almost in agreement at gmail.com. Email me your policy solution for how we keep cost of living low, keep Knoxville beautiful, and keep people from moving here. If you can keep those 3 factors, if you can check those 3 boxes and you can tell me what we can do to keep those 3 things going, I'm all ears. But forgive me for not having a better solution.
Just this time.
No, I mean, you can forgive me for all my stupid things I say if you want to. I'd appreciate that. That would make my day. The Dolly scare, that was a big one from last year.
That was pretty quick. And that was pretty much, I guess, because there wasn't much information coming out from her camp.
And her sister was being funky. Her sister said something on Twitter that freaked everybody out.
Is that how it started? She was like, pray for my sister or something?
Praying for my sister Dolly. It's like, oh, shit.
Was it last year that her husband passed, too?
Mm-hmm. I got on the news this week. I failed miserably at I fail at my efforts to keep my mouth shut, to let the people that don't put the effort in understanding how the law works and helping them understand how the law works. I fail miserably again. I did get to call out Briggs to his face, sort of, indirectly. I got to email him, too, and ask him to sit down and have breakfast. I want to see if I can have breakfast or lunch. We'll have a breakfast or lunch with me. after I called him a liar on local television. I mean, I didn't really call him a liar. I don't really, like, the problem is I was thinking about it after the fact and I actually texted the reporter on it, but it was after she'd already released it. Because I didn't know his full quote. She just kind of told me that he had said that he says that he thinks any operating business now is not going to see much change once this goes into effect. And I was like, well, he's wrong. I mean,
those that are grandfathered in?
Because we're not grandfathered in. It's what he...
To have the license, you would have had to already have the license.
Right. Those of us that already have the license and have had the license for years now can continue operating under the rules of the current license until July, because that's when our license expires.
Right.
But what I think he's saying is, in his mind, THCA and THCP were already illegal. It's just it wasn't explicit enough in the old law, and the new law was correcting that. And so, in his mind, if you're a shop that's currently operating that isn't selling THCA or THCP, come July 1, when you go into the ABC rules, nothing's really going to change for you. That's correct. Nobody is doing that. And everybody, well, not everybody, but most of us are operating, quote-unquote, legally. And so his statement of, if you're operating legally right now, not much is going to change for you when this goes into effect, is incorrect.
Right.
Because I am operating legally right now. Had his law gone into effect yesterday, 2 days ago, then I would be operating. I would now be operating illegally, but I wasn't up until the end of last year. And now, because they can't write laws cleanly in this state, we got some legalese injunction to keep us operating as is until July. But we also have a fun, weird one. And I don't know what to do with this. I don't know who to ask, because this would be one of the things I'd ask Briggs if I could see it when I see him. So all the alcohol distributors that have started getting into the hemp game, I've talked to a couple of my reps already about it, because the ABC permit for wholesale requires them to collect a wholesale tax. They are starting to collect a wholesale tax today. So if I order goomies, as Mr. Briggs likes to say, everybody, that's one of my favorite isms of him. They have all these goomies that are targeted at children, these goomies. It's like, what kid says goomies, man? But if I order some gummies from one of my distributors that their core business is alcohol, I'm going to be charged that tax. I'm operating under the Department of Ag license, which means I have to charge you as the retail tax. Now, am I to are you the customer to be retail or to be taxed twice?
Yeah, but they're kind of paying that original provider tax or whatever.
Right, the wholesalers taking the wholesale tax, and so I don't know. That's the question. Am I like for
that's
products,
presuming like kind of the pass-through cost, or
right?
whatever.
For the products that have a wholesale tax on it, am I allowed to not charge the retail tax for? Where the ones that doesn't have the wholesale, I do charge the retail tax for. Because I don't think it's fair per se that you have to pay the tax twice, but I also selfishly kind of want to punish them for their role in getting this law to where it is. So I'm happy to piss you, the customer, off and say, hey, this Goomie comes from one of these distributors. That's why it's more expensive. Get one of these Goomies, and then you're only getting taxed once. And it could be a way for me to push sales away from the products that those guys are distributing, which isn't really fair to the manufacturer of the products. It's not their fault, but they did they did team up with the devil, so there's a consequence to that. So I don't know. I'm not sure. We have some meetings this week coming up, try to figure some of these things out and make a game plan on it, because I don't know. This is one of those fun ones where if I call the Department of Revenue, they're like, well, we shouldn't audit you over this. Oh, well, shouldn't doesn't mean won't.
Right.
And it's one of those, again, it's
flagged you in the system.
Right. It's one of those that for trying, and this is one of those that I complain to Becky Massey about all the time. Happy birthday, by the way. I feel like I've been getting punished for trying to do things correctly because I'm going out of my way to try to do things right, to ask the questions so that I can make sure I'm doing things right. And by doing so, I am losing. Whether that's losing because I'm more expensive than other people, because I have to charge more because of the taxes and this, that, and the other. Because I would argue to death right now. I don't know this for a fact anymore. I haven't seen the revenue agents stop coming around when Ag basically quit trying. Ag doesn't do, Ag stopped trying, right at the end of session last year. As soon as they passed this new law that says it's going to push to ABC, Ag stopped doing anything. And Ag didn't have the agents to go out and do the site visits, and so Ag had contracted Revenue to go out and help them do some of the legwork for it.
All right.
And I guess in that same process, they told Revenue they don't care anymore, so don't worry about it. They said, it's ABC's problem now, we quit. And so, but last time I talked to a Revenue agent who was stopped by for a visit, he all but told me that there were many places that weren't even charging the tax at that time. To which their response to that was to educate them on how to properly charge the tax.
Yeah.
And I have not heard anything on them going back and checking to see if these places that weren't charging the tax are now charging the tax or not.
They may get put on a list.
It is. There is a less than zero chance that there are multiple places that deal in the hemp world that are not doing the tax almost 2 plus years out from when the tax went in. And because there's no apparatus to stop it. I was talking to a buddy of mine that owns a place that we do some business with, some wholesale business with each other with, but he also owns his own retail place. And we were talking about he's like, we're going to still charge the tax because we want to show that revenue to the state.
Right.
It's good for us as an industry to show how much revenue is coming in from this. And so we want to encourage that. But he also told me on their wholesale side, because they do have some outside of the region in the other parts of the state, they do have one or two of the different liquor companies in the state distributing for them. But he told them that if they're going to charge the wholesale tax, then he is not honoring their exclusivity and distribution in the region, because that was not part of their original contract.
Yeah. And
so they have to charge the tax, which basically means he's just taking all his wholesale clients back. Because probably not. A lot of clients will just pay the tax because it's easier, but some will be like, hey, wait a minute. I can pay X number of dollars less per unit. If I get it direct, I'm going to get it direct again. And again, like I said, anything to punish the distributors in this, I'm perfectly happy with anybody doing. I think it's fair and right and justified, maybe is the good word on it. But yeah, I got on the news and I don't know. I had a weird week in that because I actually got a call from a different reporter at the same station wanting to do an interview about the changes in the ABC law for servers and their server permits. And I was like, yeah, sure. Wait, I did that last year. And so I did some minor research on the law that she was referencing, and the first thing to pop up was their web story with me in it from last year. And so I sent her a link, and I was like, I'll do it again. But this went into effect last year, which I would like to redo that. I'd like a redo on that because I was too nice about it. Now, I say this, and I said this in front of one of my employees when I was talking to the reporter I was telling the reporter that did the hemp story about the because she was the one that actually did the hemp story the year prior. And she's like, yeah, I was in that production meeting, and I wasn't paying attention, and if I would have been paying attention, I'd be like, no, we did that story last year. I did that story with that guy.
Right.
But I was telling her about it, and I was like, if I were to do it again, though, I'd be like, I have a problem with it. I really do. Like, one, it's expensive. It's costly to the employee, but it's like, these are servers and bartenders, man. You know, these aren't like highly educated professionals. We already have all these standards that we put on top of these people. And I don't mean this disrespectful. I'm a server bartender. My wife's a server bartender. Best people I know, the people I've worked with the longest, some of the best employees I have that are outside of the bar side of our business came out of the bar industry. I love bar people. I love restaurant people. I think they're great. But they're also not fucking professionals that go to school and study to be a fucking bartender. Most people don't go into it as a career. It's good work. It's a good way to make some money, but it's not career stuff. And we just we're just going to add more things for them to do while they're at work that they don't get paid for. So now that not only do they have to know that not only do they have to pay attention to you and how drunk you are and how drunk you're getting and how much you've served you and whether you intend to drive or not and all this kind of stuff, and then intervene if they think you're going to drive. We already have to put all that kind of stuff on them. We always have to teach them about how you can't shake hands with people technically as a bartender or a server.
What?
because that goes into the B-girl laws, which is a fun little weird one, which is that's the way. It's basically a prostitution stripping thing that they're trying to make sure you can't have alcohol and strippers and hookers kind of working together. It's like, I can't serve you drinks and then get you to buy me for sex. And so one of the ways that they try to negate that is like, I can't touch you. So like, if you're sitting at the table, I can't reach down in your pants and be like, hey buddy, you want to come home with me tonight? It's what that do you not remember taking that part of your server class?
No, I don't remember that part.
There's a bunch of B-girl law stuff that they used to teach in that class. Maybe they've slowed down on that. Maybe because I don't know. But it's like, so we have all these things that we already have to force these people to do. That is how do I say this? It's not that it's a low IQ job, but it's a low intelligence job. It's not a job that people who are highly intelligent seek out to go do. It's like they're some of the greatest people I know. I feel like I have to keep qualifying that part of it, but they're not the smartest people on the planet. If they were smarter people on the planet, they wouldn't be server bartenders. They'd be doing other work. Some people, there are a few niche people out there that are really good at it and really love the job and really love the work and really love and are career-oriented server bartenders. There are tip-top professionals that are in this trade. Most aren't. Like you got some 18, well, I don't even know what the rules are on that, but you got some 18, 19, 20-year-old that might be their first job, just trying to make some money while they're going through school or something like that, because it's fairly short hours. It's decent money if you're any good at it. What are we, like, how much responsibility do they need to have that now they have to figure out, well, is that girl where you're with your wife, your girlfriend? Are you abusing them? Is she here against her will? Are you going to sell her to the guy next to you? That's now a server's job by law. It just seems like these are not the people that should have that kind of thought process and responsibility. Not to mention,
but I don't think it's in the realm of the kind of like drinking and driving, where the bar or the server is now responsible if something happens.
It's very unclear to me. I feel like it opens the door for it.
I thought it was more of just kind of like an educational thing of like,
I feel like it opens
to look out for.
Well, I feel like it opens the door for it in the sense that, like, if you come into my bar and you got some girl with you who you kidnapped a week ago, and you've got her full on Stockholm syndrome, and she's hanging on you like your boyfriend girlfriend, but there are a few signs here and there that were clear and noticeable, or hell, even if the guy's bragging about it, oh, I stole this girl off the street a week ago, and she'll do whatever I tell her to do. Hey, girl, go do this. And I don't act. I could see the lawsuit coming.
Nah, I don't think so.
Because I don't have an excuse not to know better because I had to take the class. I mean, I thought he was joking. Whatever. It's not an easy lawsuit. Don't get me wrong. But it opens the door for it. And once one gets through and one gets won, which eventually will happen, it's going to get easier. Not to mention it puts a lot of strain on the bar itself and the bar ownership and the management group. You got to really that's a really complex situation to put that person in, because the correct thing to do if you think there might be something going on is to call the cops. What's the worst thing for bars? Have cops come in and hang out.
Right.
It's just I don't know. It just puts it in a weird spot because that's probably the more likely lawsuit. You're right. The more likely lawsuit is you come in with this kidnapped girl or whatever, and my bartender says something to me as the owner manager working at the time, says, I think there's something going on here. Like, leave it alone. Don't worry about it. Whatever. And I instruct you not to. And then you see 2 days later in the news, she's found dead on the street, raped and all this kind of crap. Or my bartender sees that later and says, that was that girl. You told me not to do anything about it. And then the family gets wind of that, and then the bar is getting sued and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you're taking it a little far.
I
think this was more of just like an educational thing of having them be kind of like a second line of defense, but pretty much.
It's how to spot, recognize, and what to do when you do. That's the education. That's what's in the class now.
Right.
Well, what to do means there is an active part of it. It's not just, oh, well, hey, that guy's a kidnap. That guy's a human trafficker. He kidnapped that girl.
That's what you think it's. But I'm assuming the wording's more of like what you should do, not what you are required by law to do. That if you see this, you are required by law now
Again, that's you're correct. I don't think it has. I don't think it has a proactive point where you have to legally do something, but that's only for a criminal part of it. That doesn't. I don't think that absolves you from civil negligence at that point.
I think it'd be a far-fetched.
I do. I agree with you.
Lawsuit to try to prove that, like, oh, well, you should have seen these signs.
I agree, but it's at least a cracked open window to start that process. And like I said, I think it'll be a while, but one will get through, and that's going to open the door. Or maybe a better way to argue against it is, well, what's next then? So not only do I need to figure out if you're drunk right now, but are you an alcoholic? Should you not drink ever? Am I supposed to make those judgments now on your life and what's going on with you as a customer? Like, what's next if we're going to just keep adding things to...
a bit of a belly. Am I supposed to presume that you're pregnant?
Right. Which it's actually illegal to not serve someone because they're pregnant.
Right.
But, it's still... But we're just, like, what's the next one we're going to do? What's the next thing you're going to add to, again, this non-professional working class in responsibilities other than what the job actually is? Not to mention, like, I don't know, what are the police for? What's like, is that what is that? I mean, that sort of is kind of where I'm at least with my neighborhood in the holler is, like, or maybe my quote from my good friend that's the building manager for X Logistics, who said the mayor of the city told him that hiring your own security is part of doing business in the city of Knoxville. So the homeless population that's been damaging your property and it's on your property and you've called the KPD to come get out and all that kind of stuff, that's not KPD's problem. That's your problem. You got to pay for that yourself. Not in so many words.
If you want round-the-clock security, yes.
Right. Not in so many words, but you have to pay for your own security in the city of Knoxville. So, okay. So, like, again, like, it just feels like to be like, what's next? So we have to pay for our own security. We have to, I need to have an on-staff clinical psychologist to do a quick interview with everybody before they start to make sure that they're not in a questionable state where drinking might turn them from docile to aggressive or something. I don't know. Like it's just, it feels like the beginning of, it feels like another round of the snowball that's just going to start, that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Because we've already added over the years already. And at least the stuff we've added already is directly alcohol related, except for the hookers thing. That one's still a little weird. But that's, a purity thing, I guess. We don't want you leaving church, going to the bar, and picking up hookers. You're allowed to just leave church and go to the bar. We're okay with that. What a fun rant. That was great. But so, I did mention to them that I'm going to try to do this debate, and they said that they would pass that along to the desk. We don't have, that particular channel does not have a local politics desk. So there is no full-time person that works in that studio whose core function is local politics.
Right.
So
they just kind of trade, or they've got a handful that kind of cover whatever story they dig up.
Whatever comes up. But so the institutional knowledge of that particular station, which that's one of the two stations to narrow down the field of the three that run in Knoxville. That station is one of the two stations that's about to become one station anyway.
Are they going to merge too?
Yeah, WBR and WAT. Mm-hmm. They both got bought. Or they got bought by one. One got bought by the other. Huh. The parent companies or whatever, Tegna and.
Sounds like WVLT merged or something like that with one of them.
Was it VLT, not ATE? I thought it was ATE because I remember making the jokes about, are they going to keep the office on? Because they're both on Broadway. Are they going to keep the cool Castle House on the lower, on the south or the more southern end of Broadway? Or are they going to do the new studio that WBAR built over there behind where Broadway Sound used to be? Because I remember making that joke. Because ATE is the one in the castle that's right off the little spur that goes onto the interstate.
I think WVLT was right there on like Bearden Hill.
Yeah, VLT's over here off of Paper Mill. Yeah. So yeah, it's BIR and ATE that the parent companies are now the same. They now have a single parent company.
Okay.
Because I like one of the things that's funny is because we love our Jeopardy in this house, and so we watch Jeopardy. And during the last commercial Jeopardy break of Jeopardy, there is a 30-second still screen. This news organization, the parent company of this broadcast organization, has been bought by this other broadcast company, or has been whatever. It's it's where you can go to find the records of this transaction, this business transaction of the companies, because they have to announce it. I don't know if there's any. I don't know that there's any thing that the public could do. Be like, no, we don't approve this, because I think that's already too late. Anyway,
Right, it's already gone through. It's just
the formality. They just
legalized
have
public
to say,
notice.
right? They just have to say, just so you know, that ATE and WBR will be the same here very shortly. And so, I'd love to. I didn't think about it at the time. I might actually text a couple of. I've got like 7 different of the TV people's phone numbers. Mm-hmm. I might text them and maybe do like a round table. See if I can put together a round table. Be like, how do you think this is going to play out, guys? Like, this is your jobs,
right?
Like, are half of you guys going to just get laid off and the other half going to keep, and they're just going to merge and theoretically pick the best of what they have and clear out the rest?
So I know a couple of them merged. They pretty much had the same. It was like the same crew, but it was like they would just say they were a different station. But it was the same weather people on the 2 different stations. I mean, that's same news anchors and everything.
That's the Fox, the TNZ. Is it TNZ?
TNZ.
That's the local Fox News. Has always been WBIR. They never had local news.
That's not WBIR.
The one, I mean, well, it is now. Like if you go to the 10 o'clock news on the Fox channel,
right?
That's WBIR's 11 o'clock news team,
right?
That's doing the news, except they're on that channel.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm not sure which one.
And it was like Channel 20 and Channel 8 got together, because it was pretty much like on the air stations. It was like 6 and 10, 6, 8 and 10,
43.
20 and 43.
Yeah. What was 20? I don't remember. 20 is not a major broadcaster though. It's not one of, it's on. It doesn't have a national broadcast license. I mean, it has a broadcast license, obviously, but it's not from. It doesn't have a national affiliate.
I remember seeing news on there from like one of the major stations.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's not like it's a. It's not like it's a CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox. Right. Like it doesn't. Because one of the nice parts about having this affiliate format, which I do sort of somewhat agree with, is that like NBC News Atlanta will run a story, and because NBC News Atlanta is an NBC affiliate, NBC Knoxville can pull that story and run it if they think it's something that, they don't have to go and do their own version of it. They can just be like, NBC News affiliate anchor, blah, 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 blah. It's going to tell us more about this. And they kind of pretend like they planned it, but it's really just they did their segment, and we just took a copy of it and put it into ours as a segment. And so, I don't know. It's not good for news. It's not good for local news that's already awful. Like, I thought about pitching Scott and Jesse, be like, hey, when this goes down, they start laying off a bunch of journalists. Do you guys want to ramp this thing up into a full service, 7-day-a-week news team? We can do weekly news or nightly newscasts and the whole 9 yards. I don't think Scott and Jesse have the appetite for that. I don't blame them. What else you got?
As far as new laws, I saw tattoo artists now, I guess, are required to get training on, I guess, like gang-related and I think maybe sexual traffic kind of branding tattoos to recognize those.
Cool. I mean, they should be, if anything, they should have the human trafficking and they should have that human trafficking thing that the bartender servers have. As far as being able to recognize, if I bring my girlfriend in and tell you to give her this tattoo and she doesn't want it, but you do it anyway, kind of thing. Property of Lord Seth. My wife's already got that tattoo on her ass. I'm not really worried about it. She did it on her own accord. I didn't make her. I don't mean like I don't know. Like it just seems. It seems like you're asking. because you have to have a license to do that job. It just seems like you're asking a lot of people that aren't necessarily like you're supposed to be an artist. Like you're not supposed to be like a psychologist or a drug enforcement task force agent. And especially if it's like gang related stuff, like that puts you in a weird spot. It's like, oh, you want me to put the law says I can't do gang related tattoos, man. I'm sorry. Like if they're like a ragey violent gang, like we had a thing with the fucking outlaws or something.
Pagans, yeah.
The what?
Pagans.
Yeah, sorry, pagans. Like we had multiple motorcycles cops chasing multiple motorcycles after some incident happened.
I thought there was a stabbing. I don't know if there was ever a chase.
I thought I saw something about a chase. Maybe I'm.
I think they arrested him a couple days later. They arrested 2 people so far.
Maybe it was a separate thing where they were chasing somebody else on a motorcycle, and I think the cop wrecked and died in Blount County. I think is what it was.
I thought that was separate.
It might have been. That's what I'm saying. It might have been.
Because I think the stabbing was like Tazewell or something. It was outside of Knoxville.
No, I know it was a chase, but it wasn't a chase. It was like because they said something about like multi-county, like they'd followed the pack of bikers, like
okay,
like for a while. It wasn't like a chase. Like it didn't imply that it was like they were weaving in and out of traffic. It's just that the bikers just wouldn't pull over.
Okay,
I think that was my interpretation impression of it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
So CW, that's Channel 20.
Yeah,
on that air.
Which is also weird because I thought CW was part of the greater Fox family.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I think I've seen like news on the Channel 20. But
I don't know. What else is new in the new laws stuff have you seen?
I think there was one that had to do with IDs that was trying to. It's already thought that if you're, I don't know if you can have non-citizens have driver's license. I know they can get like IDs.
Yeah,
but I don't know about driver's license.
I don't know about that specific either.
But I guess maybe they've changed it to now to not allow it.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I mean, you know how I feel about driver's license in general. It doesn't prove anything anyway, but
right.
Like there's value for people having identification. I don't know. How do you get an ID? Like what documentation do you have to get an ID? Can you just take your?
You can at least have a couple.
So I'm saying some certified mail to my house and because it really all like the ID, the 99% of the ID for the state side of it is residency. We want to know where you live. But we also, want to know that you're you, not this other person.
Right.
And so, like, residency being a core part of it, like, for the user, it's like, well, I'm of age, so I can go buy my beers or whatever, or I can get into the strip club or whatever I want to do that requires age requirement. But what documentation do they, can you get an ID with a foreign birth certificate?
I would think so. I mean, that's an official document with your name on it.
But I mean, that's my question. I mean, that's the question. Like for non-residents that are for non-legal residents or whatever the phrasing was, who are getting IDs, what documentation are they providing to get these IDs?
You assume they might have a passport.
Because I don't disagree with the premises. You should I guess I don't disagree with the premises.
I'm assuming the quote-unquote green card should have your name on it.
It should be pretty easy to get an ID. But if you have a green card or a passport, well, if you have a passport, you may have overstayed your visa or something like that, but at least if you have a passport, it's assumed that you came in on a visa,
right?
On a tourist visa or something, at least that
a work visa, yeah.
And so that implies that you're here legally, and if they're here legally to work, then if you do all the other requirements, I wouldn't see why you can't get an ID or a driver's license too. I'm just curious, what. I don't know. Someone we call Sherry Witt, who's running for. So we're going to have a big fun switcheroo here this year, and it's very likely that this is one of my predictions for this year coming up, is that we will have the trifecta of Sherry Witts and the 3 most useless elected officials that we have in the county. Sherry Witt, who's currently the county clerk, is going to become the Register of Deeds. Mr. McBride, who is the current Register of Deeds, is going to take Biggs' job in the trustee's office. And then Richie Beeler, who was formerly under the employ of Sherry Witt in the county clerk's office and former county commissioner, will be the new county clerk. And so you have these three people. It's very, Scott said it really, really well. Like when you get into these offices, things get very incestuous, politically incestuous. I thought that was a good word for how that works. So I need to get in those circles. Like you do one rotation of those because you can only have that job for 2 consecutive terms. But one rotation of that's 24 years of 6-figure salary from the county. And really, and as we've mentioned many times, like you're literally just you're just the CEO of a company that's already operating. You just gotta, Again, I make the joke all the time with Sherry specifically. She's not out there selling you your license plate. She's in the back office hiring and firing and setting office policy and this, that, and the other. 99% of the functional part that we use her office for is set forth by the state of Tennessee or Knox County government. She doesn't get to make the decisions on that.
Right.
Like her decisions are how many people are working this week and what our labor's at and how many offices do we need to have. Do we need to add a new office? Do we need to close an office? That's the majority of that job. Which, again, that should be the one that I am running for, not mayor, since you did my paperwork, right? You pulled my petition for me?
Yeah, of course.
I better get on it. So, what else you got in there? New laws.
Let's see here. So this one is, for the driver's license one. U.S. citizenship is now required to obtain a regular driver's license in Tennessee. Lawful permanent residents can still receive licenses, but these will have less authority and include a special marking compared to regular licenses.
What authority does a license have anyway? Like, how can you have more or less? Like, unless you have a special license, like a C license, so you can drive commercial vehicles.
Right.
But that's a special endorsement on your regular license.
Let's see here. They anticipate it would be a small X on there, similar to the way restrictions are there for contacts or something else. But the license would not be valid to register to vote or to actually vote.
We do have an ID law to vote in this, right? Okay. Yeah. But it's not. You. What did that? Okay.
Apparently, they will no longer recognize driver's licenses issued to undocumented immigrants by other states, even for people simply driving through Tennessee to reach another destination. Quote, you could be charged with a Class B misdemeanor, State Senator Jack Johnson said last year during debate.
How on God's green earth are they going to enforce that? And how is that
not make our own state laws and basically not recognize?
But how does that not apply? Like that's
similar to like the
but that's interstate
concealed
commerce
carry.
To
There's some states that don't recognize other states' concealed carry permits or whatever.
Sure, but that's interstate commerce to a T though. Like we have by federal law we have the right to relocate. I guess or I can't remember what the phrasing is, but like you have a right to wander around the United States however you want to. And each state, like all states require driver's licenses, but I don't think any state can refuse another state's driver's license as a valid form of ID for the right to drive.
I guess that's kind of what they're alluding to with it. It's not going to be considered a regular license or whatever.
So right, and I could see that. I could theoretically see that from if like Kentucky had a similar law that basically said you could drive in our state under this with this restricted license. By the way, it's only a valid driver's license in the state of Kentucky. You can't go into Tennessee with it.
Right.
Similar to your example with the concealed carry permits, is they explicitly explain in part of the testing and paperwork. Some states will honor this, some states won't.
Right.
But that doesn't restrict your right to move and move about the country, and I don't think that's federally legal. Not that that means anything to the state of Tennessee government, but, well, it does to Briggs when he feels like passing certain things, but it doesn't when he doesn't. I'm going to go back to that for a second, because in that interview, that his part of it, and he says, when he says gummies, he references a bunch of stuff about all this, that this is a consumer protection law.
Right.
Which it's not. It was never meant to be. Like, it's just one of those, like...
I've never heard issues of, like, pesticides and stuff.
Sure.
I mean, maybe with some of the flour, but...
It does exist, and there are players out there that are playing in that space.
Right.
But those players aren't playing by the rules already. You know, like that rule has been in place for a while now. The testing stuff has been in place for a while. And just, you know, for the sake of good business.
Right.
You know, but, you know, if you want to sell shitty product and hurt people, then you should be liable for it for sure. But if you wanted safe product for people, this law is not the one you would write for that. Because by saying that, you're accepting that this product should be on the market. You're restricting this product from market, full stop. And again, I think in his head, he believes that is protecting the consumer by not giving the consumer the option to get it. Which I guess...
Or saving you from yourself.
If you follow the logic, I guess yes. Because it goes to the same thing about, you know, his statement about how this isn't going to affect places that are playing by the rules now. It's like, well, that's because you think your interpretation of the rules is X. My interpretation is Y. And all of the people like me who interpret it as Y are going to be strongly affected by these changes. Those people who have made the decision that this is part of their lifestyle and they want to consume this product are comfortable with what this product does and how it's supposed to do. You're not protecting them from it. But I can see how Briggs thinks that he is protecting them from themselves, yes. He's on the ballot. Good luck, everybody. The only candidate that I know that's running against him is a loony libertarian. And I kind of like the guy, but that doesn't mean I think he's going to win.
Right.
Which was also really funny when I spoke with Briggs, because he was like,
"That guy's an independent.
That guy's crazy." No, he's running as a Republican.
Is he? Okay.
He's trying to primary him as a Republican. That guy's crazy and thinks that we shouldn't have taxes and this, that, and the other. And it's like, yeah,
has he voted Republican in previous?
He probably has played by the rules. He's probably by the bylaws of the state party. He is bona fide.
He just leans libertarian.
Well, I mean, which funnily enough to me, like most people assume, like most people put libertarians on the right anyway.
Yeah.
Which on some aspects that's correct. You know, but again, to defend my version of libertarianism, at least, like, libertarians don't care about your religion, don't care about their own religions. That's none of the state's business. They should have nothing to do with those things. And at least the Republicans in this state tend to bend pretty hard towards the Christian nationalists, and I don't think that's a good thing.
I agree.
Because we talked about that last week, 2 weeks ago. We got into Christian nationalism and stuff like that recently.
I think we talked about it off the air. I don't know if we talked about it on the air.
Yeah. I just don't like... Yeah, because I mean, you get all the, like, the founding fathers were Christian-based and whatever, and it's like, eh. But I think they were... I don't know. My take, at least my interpretation's always been, they were wise enough to understand that you can draw that line and function as a society, and it's important that we do. I think that's the thing. To me, it's like, yeah, they probably were. They were all Quakers and some Protestants, and there certainly weren't any Catholics, because we hated those for a long time in this country.
Right. A number of them were considered deists.
But I think, you know, because I don't mind the idea of, like, are you a religious person being a reasonable question to ask a candidate. Because depending on their religious upbringing and how they feel about religion and stuff, can tell you a lot about a person.
Right.
You know, sometimes they can tell, like, you know, sometimes they can be like, oh, I was born and raised Lutheran and I go to church every weekend and stuff like that. But then this guy's been, like, divorced 3 times and all this other crap. And it's like, yeah, okay, so you're just full of shit and you don't really believe, or you have no real faith in it. You just use it as a tool to make yourself feel better or whatever it is that you go to church for. Because you certainly aren't, you know, really following the guidelines set forth by said.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we've talked about it before. I think by federal law, you're not allowed to have a religious test to hold office. But I think our state constitution There is, like, you have to affirm a faith.
Yes.
Or you have to recognize a higher power, I think is how it works.
Right. Which I could, that's not like, that's like AA class does that too. Most of them are God, but.
Yeah, all official, like AA, it's part of one of the steps to go through it if you want to complete it.
Right. You have
At some point, you have to recognize a higher power.
Right. Which, but, and I think for not in a dishonest way, but a creative person could like, because I think an atheist can understand a higher power. A higher power doesn't have to be God or something floating around in heavens or whatever. But a higher power would be something more important than me.
Yeah, but it kind of alludes to, I guess,
sure, it does. But I mean, you could still honestly say I believe in a higher power because I feel like I believe in the strength of family, and the family is important, and that a family together is more powerful than a family solo or than an individual solo. That's a higher power than me.
Yeah, but you couldn't really call that a higher power.
Sure,
family.
You can.
Maybe. I don't think that quite fits into the definition.
The question is, do you believe in a higher power or not? Not make the argument for why whatever higher power you believe in is real. Because I believe in God. Okay, you believe in a higher power. Well, prove he's real. Prove your belief in your family as a higher power is real. It's the same question.
Nah, not really.
No, it's exactly the same question. There is, like a general generic understanding that God is this certain thing and that everybody understands that thing, and it being a higher power, but it's the same question. Prove to me that something
on the family being equatable to a higher power.
Prove to me an unprovable thing. You can't you can't do it, and so if that's the test, you can't have that. You can't have that test. You could say, do you believe in a higher power? And I say, yes. And they say, what's your higher power? And it's like, it's this. And it's like, well, prove to me that that's a higher power. Well, prove to me that God is a higher power. Part of that, you have to prove that it exists. And if you can't prove it exists, you can't prove it's a higher power, where I can at least prove the family exists. There they are. Look at them. Here's a picture of me with them. This girl that I met when she was 14 in the 4-H club, who I groomed until she was old enough and she married me. And here are our beautiful kids.
Right.
Allegedly. What do you want me to say?
Allegedly.
You're the one inferring who I'm referencing. I was just making shit up on the fly. I wasn't referencing any particular person who may or may not be running for the governor of the state of Tennessee.
Right.
Because it really doesn't matter, because Marsha Blackburn is not who I was referencing, and she will be the governor of the state of Tennessee. That is going to be the least competitive race probably on any of the ballots this year.
Most likely, yeah.
And what's interesting to me is that as of right now, there is no active candidates running against Haggerty for the other Senate seat. No Republicans have announced a plan to primary him, and there is no Democrat. There might be a few Democrats that are going to pull.
Are they both on the ballot this cycle? I don't think they.
Marsha is just because she's running for governor. Marsha's Senate term's got 2 more years.
That's right. Yeah. But Haggerty's is on the upcoming cycle.
Right. Haggerty's on the 26th cycle. Governor's on, it's going to be a huge ballot. It's not going to be that crazy ballot we had a couple of years ago with all the judges and shit on it.
Right.
It's not going to be that big. But, we've got 4 or 5 commission seats, 3 or 4 school board seats, the trustee's office, the register of deeds office, the county clerk's office, the mayor's office. I think we have 1 judge.
Say sheriff's office.
And that's just in the local side. And then we have all of the state house reps are on, because it's they're on every 2-year cycle.
Was the person just sworn in for the judgeship? Was that a temporary?
Here? Yeah, that's on, right. That's on the ballot. You're right.
Okay.
But that's a special election for that seat.
Right. Okay.
That's not a standard. That's a special election to go 2 more years to go for the full term later.
Right. So somebody stepped down? Is that what it was?
Not yet. No.
I mean, how did she get because she just got sworn in like a week or 2.
Yeah. Andrew Jackson, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
The 6th, retired. Like, he's just saying I'm done.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the county commission appointed some lady from the DA's office, an assistant attorney.
Yeah.
from the DA's office. And then that so like she might sit on the bench for a couple of weeks before she has to go full time campaigning to keep it. To then get a couple of years and campaign again to keep it for a full term. What else we got? All the state house seats, Richard Briggs seats on the ballot. I don't know if Randy McNally's on the ballot this year or not. I don't know where he's at on his cycle.
Not sure.
Because Becky's 6, Briggs is 7. No, yeah, McNally's on the ballot.
Okay. Because
he's an odd number Senate seat. The odd number Senate seats are with the governor. The even numbers are not. So he'll be on the ballot. So we'll have two state Senate races, all 8 or 9 state house races, 1 senator, 1 governor. I don't know that we have any local federal House reps that are up on the ballot. I mean,
I wonder if McNally's been in long enough to be termed out.
There is no term limits.
Is there not? Okay.
No, for state House.
No, he's Senate.
Or state Senate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it'll be, I mean, depending on where you are in the county, it'll be 10, 12 items. We'll have a whole bunch of judges, like state judges, that'll be on the do you want to keep them or not? We always get a couple of those on the even year cycles. You remember what I'm talking about?
Like state Supreme Court or federal judges?
No, it's state Supreme Court, where it's like, do we want to keep this judge in the seat, or would you like to? I think it's asking, do you want to recall them? Yes or no?
Okay.
I always say yes, whichever the answer is. That because they can get reappointed. It's the governor appoints them. They don't get elected for the seat anyway. But yeah, why not?
But the people can vote to remove them and
right.
Give the governor a chance to put somebody else in there.
Yeah. So, like, I was just, it's just by default. It's not that I have anything against any of these people or that I have any reason to say they're not good at their jobs. It's just, well, maybe any excuse to put a new person in is a good one. Maybe we need to mix it up a little bit. Institutional knowledge is not necessarily always a good thing.
Yeah, but you could be taking away somebody that's actually a reasonable Supreme Court justice.
Right. Well, right, and it would put
give them a chance of
Lee or whoever. As long as Blackburn's governor, I'll probably say no. I'll probably say yes, please keep him.
Yeah,
because whoever she's going to replace him with is going to be somebody worse. You're right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. But there's no information. Like, it doesn't give you any information other than their name and like what seat number there is or they are or whatever it is. It's like, well, like, how long have they been there? Like, just like, you could be like, would you like to retain this 40-year state Supreme Court justice? 40 years is not long enough, I think. Maybe we could get somebody a little younger in there, a little hipper, a little cooler. But we have both. Are both mine? Both District 4s. I know school board is. I think both District 4 school board and county commission are up. Which both were won by Democrats. No, sorry. School board is, county commission is not. But it would be 3 significant elections in a row if Shane Jackson keeps his seat. I'm sorry, if Catherine Bike keeps her seat.
Yeah.
She's the first Democrat to win the District 4 race. Then Shane Jackson wins one, and now she's going to win another one, theoretically. That goes from, that was anomalous, there was something specific going on that people were reacting to this is a trend. District 4 is a purple district now. It's not just we had a couple of anomalies.
Yeah.
Or we go back to Republicans and we just go, yeah, everybody would because the Catherine Bike election was that was 2020, so that was with the presidential election. Everybody hated Trump at that point. That was, I still would argue that was that before or after the Dobbs decision? When did Dobbs come in?
I'm not sure.
Maybe that's the 22. No, she would have been 22 then. If she's on 26, it's 22. So then it would have been. No, she was 20. Fuck, I don't know. She was 22, which means Shane was 24. She's 26. So yeah, that would have been post. Yeah, 22 was just post the Dobbs decision.
Okay.
And everybody was mad at Republicans for that. And so the question is, can she retain the seat despite not having that rage against Republicans in play? And so that'll be interesting in that race. I'm curious to see who pulls District 18 ballots. If anybody's going to try to primary Elaine Davis.
Doubtful.
I doubt it. Well, and we'll see. I mean, like, I don't know. I think the District 18 race 2 years ago really kind of kicked the Democrats in the nuts. I thought they were going to do better than they did, and they did worse. They did worse than they did in years past. And Kaplan, is it Kaplan that they ran 2 cycles ago? Was not a great candidate. Against Elaine Davis's when Elaine was running to replace, because it was Gina. Who'd she primary? No, that was Janet Testerman. It was Janet Testerman and Elaine Davis were the Republican primary, and then it was Greg Kaplan was the Democratic candidate in that race, and he was not a very good candidate. Great dude, just not personable. Didn't come across well.
Right.
He's an academic and acts exactly like what the TV tells you an academic is. And this guy they ran against their last cycle, I thought had a really good shot. UT swimmer, handsome fella, articulate, seemed pretty smart, fun to look at, all the things that a politician needs to be.
True.
And he got beat worse. And that was a surprise to me. I figured he would do at least a little better. I wouldn't say that I was predicting that he would beat her. I did say, I think, on the air that I thought he was going to win that seat, but it wasn't a shock that he didn't win. It was a shock that he lost as bad as he did, because I figured he would do better than Kaplan did against her. He did not. So we will see. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a crazy year. Halaru is the primary, the Saturday after primaries. So that's going to be a crazy couple weeks for me. What else in the new law books? Anything popping out?
Domestic violence registry established.
I thought that I don't know why I thought that was already a thing.
I guess there's a sex offender registry, but they're now Tennessee now maintains a domestic violence registry.
So you think, like, if you go get a marriage license, that pops up?
I wouldn't think so.
Like, who has
I don't
access
think it's
to
going
the
to
registry?
preclude you from getting a marriage license.
Like, is it a public registry though? Like, I can just go pull it whenever I feel like it?
Apparently it's already live.
I know the first of the new cameras KPD put up is live. Speaking of shit that I don't like,
I did see that. I thought they already had cameras up.
I mean, it's the first new official one. Like, everything else is stuff that's in the system, and they're starting to roll out the real-time crime center.
Yeah.
And again, where I don't get along with Backroom Knox on certain issues, I get along with him on this one. He hates it. He is not a fan. He thinks it's
invasion of privacy.
It's an invasion of privacy, and I mean, and he has the right take on it. The takes, it's like, he's like, I'm good with the premise of it, but we have to know that at some point somebody that we don't want to have their hands on is going to be able to get their hands on it. Whether that's an officer on a bender because his wife's cheating on him or whatever, or whether that's the slow grind shift that is government and politics at large, and the city of Knoxville Knox County starts being more purple. Then all of a sudden we have a Democratic mayor, and then we're going to have Democrats that are, well, we already do by this one because it's KPD. It's, he was hired by Kincannon anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, the Democrats get to look at us and see us and watch us and know everything about us. And it's like, yeah. Would you still complain if he was hired by a Republican?
Don't they delete it after 30 days or something?
I don't give a shit what they say they do, because it doesn't matter. It does. I don't believe that. I don't believe it gets deleted after any amount of time. It may come out of an easily accessible archive to a more difficult to access archive, but it'll still be around. I just don't believe it. Like, it may be from the on-site hard drives to a cloud storage that they have. That's a bigger access issue, but it's going to stick. It's going to stay somewhere.
To reread it, I thought they were supposed to completely delete it after 30 or 60 days.
Right, and I will reference when the government says they'll delete stuff after a certain period of time. I'll always reference Max's story about when he got arrested when he was 16. Remember this story?
Not particularly.
Okay, so him and his buddies, they were running around. He lived in Colorado at the time. They were just running around being whatever. They were in the woods, and one of them got some ninja stars. And they're out throwing their ninja stars at trees, getting them stuck in the tree or whatever, just being, goofy teenage boys or whatever.
Right.
And something happened. The cops show up, and they all book it. And in all that, Max had them in his hand. He was throwing or whatever when the cops showed up. And so he took the ones that he had in his hand, threw them in his pocket, ran. Everybody ran. They eventually catch up to him, and they detain him. They go through his pockets, and he gets charged with unlawful
illegal weapon or something.
Illegal weapon or whatever it is. And they go before the judge. And the judge is like, "This is stupid. I don't even think that counts as a weapon. Does that count as a weapon for real?" And he ends up throwing it out. When he goes into the Marine Corps, and he's going through his security protocol checks and all that kind of stuff, the sergeant or whatever that's doing the interview comes in. He's like, "Hey, we see here that this happened when you were 16. Tell me about it." It's like, well, I was told that was expunged from the record when the judge dismissed it. Because
I don't think that expunges your record. I think it's just a case that gets dismissed.
No, at least according to him, the judge told him that they were expunging it and dismissing it.
Okay.
And the question from the officer, or from his superior, was not what happened here. Is why didn't you disclose this when we gave you the questionnaire before we came in for these interviews? He's like, well, I didn't disclose it because I didn't think it existed anymore because I was told.
The question was probably, have you ever been arrested? But
right, whatever.
Technically, you got arrested. I don't know,
but I'm just saying, this is the government supposed to be deleting stuff, and more specifically, this is a police department who is supposed to be deleting stuff from the record. Yet it's still there, and this is old school paper records and stuff from the 90s, maybe right. Late 80s actually for him.
I'd say the military probably has a better access to it versus like a job.
So you agree,
like a job background check?
Well, you agree that is not going that is unlikely that anything is actually going to be deleted. That's all I wanted you to say. They're not going to delete anything. They just may not be able to access it the way they used to. But somebody with the right authority will be able to access stuff that's 5 years old. As long as it was ever recorded, they will be able to access it.
No, maybe I'm having blind faith, but no. I don't think they will hold on to it.
Okay.
I think there's other stuff that's easier. It's easier to get a hold of, like your cell phone records, basically, to get geolocation data.
Yes, I agree that's easier, but okay.
But as far as like traffic cameras picking up, no, I'm assuming, I don't know.
I mean, again, but I think you
try to do a FOIA request and see if anything pops up.
It would be harder to just pull quickly out of there, but you say, I need to see the traffic. I got a geolocation because I pulled the cell phone records that he was in this area at this time. Pull me the cameras from that area at that time. I think whatever, fine. I agree to disagree on this one. I hope your blind faith is right. I don't. I have the opposite. My faith is them doing the wrong.
You can do a FOIA request.
Yep.
See if we can't catch them. We'd have to prove that they still had access to it if they were like, right. There's nothing from these dates.
At this point, they don't have 30 days. They don't have 30 days worth of data yet.
Yeah. Got tattoo artist training required. Yeah, so it mandates that all new tattoo artists complete 1 hour of human trafficking awareness training.
Yeah, it's the same one as the bar one.
Yeah.
Because, I do know some people who in their mind their tattoo artist is their psychologist. So I guess the phrase "I need some tattoo therapy" that's a thing amongst tattoo junkies.
Really?
So, why not? Let's go ahead and make it official that they have to be a therapist by law.
Let's see here. We got first-time DUI suspects who refuse blood tests will lose their licenses for 18 months versus 12 months. Driving exams must include more questions about bicycle hand signals to help reduce bike-related crashes. State agencies must accept emailed documents instead of requiring fax machines. I guess that's a good one. Get with the times.
I don't know of anybody that is still requiring. I haven't had to fax anything to the state.
Got new affordable housing tax credits are available to financial institutions to encourage more affordable housing construction. Don't really get that one.
So the bank gets a tax incentive to loan to a developer, making them more likely to...
the banking institutions or lending institutions.
Right.
There's
so
more.
that there's a tax credit for the bank to accept that loan, and in order to accept that loan, or it is likely that a developer will ask for a lower rate on a loan than they would otherwise give, and so they're more likely to take that with a reduced rate because they're getting paid on the other side by the state.
Okay.
Or they're getting a tax, whatever the tax incentive is, they're not having to pay taxes on X, Y, or Z because they accept those loans.
We get a new oversight board will regulate bail bond companies instead of the court system, with authority to discipline bondsmen and suspend or revoke licenses. I think the one you sent me had to do with like DUIs and refusing. That I guess now they have like a mouth swab that they can do.
I find that,
assuming that's for THC and alcohol.
I don't know. Sure. I find that fascinating that you're making it criminal to not. I mean, that seems like a Fifth Amendment Fifth Amendment violation. You're criminalizing my ability to refuse to incriminate myself.
I know for like blood draws, they have to get a court order.
Right.
But I think there's I think a lot of states have laws that if you refuse,
right, they have the no refusal weekends and stuff like that.
Breathalyzer.
Right.
Which I've always wondered if you can refuse the roadside and be like, no, take me to the station. Apparently, those machines are supposed to be better calibrated.
I don't like again.
But I think most states have a refusal. Your license is automatically suspended.
Right. Which I think
they may not be able to prove you got a DUI, but they can suspend it for refusing.
Right. And I suppose the argument, to be fair, is that the privilege of driving is not a right.
It's a privilege, yeah.
And so the Fifth Amendment does not apply to privileges; it applies to rights.
Yeah. And apparently, somewhere, I don't know, I've never seen fine print when you get your license, but apparently that's one of the things that
when you sign your license, you're accepting the terms of service.
Yeah.
Essentially. I don't like my gut reaction to stuff like that is I'm always going to be opposed to those kind of things because you're just like you're criminalizing people's right to not to not out themselves. We have the right. I have the right to not tell you things that I did illegally. I have the right to not tell you that. I have the right to not give you to give you the evidence to convict me of a crime. Now you have the right to, as the police, to go and get the warrants and do all the things in subpoenas and stuff like that. But even with subpoena, you can subpoena me to court. I don't have I do not have to testify if it is admitting if in that testimony I'm admitting some sort of guilt.
Right, you still have that. You can still plead the Fifth.
Right, and I don't understand how this does like that. I don't understand how that theory, logic, whatever you want to call it, doesn't apply here.
Well, you can refuse, and then they can't. I guess if they weren't able to, get a court order for a blood draw, they can't charge you with DUI.
But as I say, though, it's like, okay, so you pulled me over on a suspicion of DUI. Okay. Have you been drinking tonight? I plead the Fifth. I mean, is that not an acceptable answer? Wouldn't that legally be an acceptable answer? Because
I think you can refuse to answer questions.
Right, and then the next step would be, well, we're gonna make you do a breathalyzer. I plead the Fifth. You can't force me to incriminate myself. It doesn't make any sense.
You can refuse the breathalyzer, but I guess that's where they suspend your license for refusing breathalyzer.
Right. And so, I acknowledge the fact that it's a privilege, and so they're going to take the privilege away because you refuse to play by the rules. But it's still just one of those I don't know. Do we really do we as Americans in general feel like driving is a privilege anymore? I feel like most people consider that a right. You have a right with a few, asterisks that you have to do for a certain number of things before you get it. But once you do the things and you get the thing, you have a right to fucking drive. You have a right to a driver's license. I don't feel like it's a privilege. I feel like that's just a semantics.
I don't disagree. A lot of people have that perception that it is a right, but by law,
the semantics again. But it's like, okay, all right. Well, if driving is a privilege, then why are you taxing me for other people's privileges. I don't want a driver's license. I don't want to drive. But you're going to take my tax money and spend it on people's privilege to drive around my neighborhood.
I mean, what taxes are you paying if you didn't have a license that are going towards?
I mean, I'm paying a county property tax or a sales tax, whatever part of the budget pays for road work. Yes, some of it, the state does part of your wheel taxes.
It's all
and shit
spread
like
out. I think you're kind of nitpicking.
I'm not nitpicking.
Your property tax goes towards all sorts of stuff.
Sure, it
the
does.
whole city and state county budgets.
Okay, well then my argument would be that if driving is a privilege,
my taxes are helping pay for
if driving is a
bullshit at
privilege,
UT.
then only things that are related to driving should be taxable to build and work on roads. So my income can't be you can't use my income tax for roadways. You can't use my property tax for roadways. You can't use my sales tax. You can put a special tax on gas. You can put a wheel tax.
That's what the gas tax. I think all of that is supposed to go
You can
towards
put a gas
roads.
tax on. You can put a wheel tax on for my registration of my vehicle. You can put tolls on the roads or whatever. Just if you're going to say that I don't have a right to use these things because I didn't go through the process to get my privilege in play, then you shouldn't make me pay for them. That seems kind of crazy. I mean, that seems fairly straightforward, just in a logic kind of way. If I don't have the right to do it, then you don't have the right to make me pay for it. I don't get to walk down the middle of the street.
All sorts of stuff with your taxes.
I agree.
That's what I'm saying. It sounds
And I'm
like
not
it's
going to
more
go
like
my
nitpicking.
full autistic libertarian on this that says we shouldn't have to pay taxes on anything ever because the taxes are theft and blah blah blah. I'm not even trying to go that route. I'm just saying all right. So if this is just a privilege, then the people who use the privilege should be the only ones that pay for the things that the privilege gets. Like why? And that goes because you're right, because you get real weird because it's like, well, I accept the idea that my taxes should go to pay for KPD and the fire department to exist and do their job. But I don't think it's necessarily fair that my taxes to pay KPD exist should be spent on them going out and doing traffic stops. They should be if I'm going to have to pay for KPD to exist, they should be doing the things that are my rights, not my privileges. I can make that argument in a couple different ways. Look, I understand this is completely infeasible in logic and illogical in practice. But my point back to my original point being is I think that most people, when pressed, to be honest, would say that driving is a right. It's not a privilege. I have the right to drive as long as I do X, and that X is definitionally where it becomes a privilege. I understand that by a legal, technical, semantical argument. Yes. But yeah, I'm pretty comfortable. I think most people think that driving is a right. I have the right to drive around town, to follow the rules of the road, and to do those things. I pay my taxes. I got the piece of paper that says I can do it. I have a right to do this. Now again, I understand the semantical difference and why you can play games like refusal to do what we tell you to do. We can take this right privilege away from you.
Right.
But I stick to my guns on this one. I believe I believe you have a right to drive if you can do the two things when you're 16, which is pass the driving test, pass the written test, and get gone.
I wonder if they even still do a written test. Because I know they do that for your permit.
Yeah, I don't think
that's how I did
test.
it when I got my permit.
Yeah, I don't think I did
a
a
written
test.
test.
I just did a driving test on my
for regular driver's license. Yeah. So I hate to say it. I wish they would have made it a little bit harder. I think they should.
Well, they're adding learning bike signals.
Yeah, but I wonder if that's just for your permit though, unless they're doing written tests.
I mean, what bike signals are we talking about? There's only 3.
Right. Yeah.
Left arm up, left arm down, left arm out.
Right.
What else are we talking about? Because
maybe they've added a couple more.
If there's any other bike signals, I don't know what they are.
There's all sorts of weird, motorcycle hand signals. I think if a motorcycle taps their head, that means there's a cop somewhere. Or whatever.
But that's that's
right.
That's low key stuff. That's not legal. I do it so when we were at camp, I did it on the 4-wheeler. I was on the 4-wheeler and we were coming out of the hunting spot back to the camp, and
did you take a left, stick your arm out?
Yeah. It's coming up to the trailer park, if you will, the actual campground,
right,
where the camper is, and like I that 4-wheeler go pretty quick. And it's certainly, I'm probably going faster than the quote technical speed limit for that road that we're on. But every time I've been on there and there's a car, truck, or anything on that road, they always come and pass me. And so I try to be conscious about if there's somebody behind me.
Right.
If they're close, I'll kind of pull over to the side and give them room to pass me so we don't get hit and all that kind of stuff.
It's got brake lights, doesn't it?
Yeah, but we were getting close enough to the turn. But
right.
I never use the brakes.
You're definitely being smart.
I never use the brakes on that thing anyway because the weight and stuff. As soon as you let off the gas, it slows down pretty fast.
Right.
Anyway, point being, and so like there was a car behind me, and it was close enough that if I had further to go, I would have pulled over to let it pass me. But I was like, well, I'm about to turn left, and I'm slowing down, and I don't want them to try to start passing me. So,
right.
I'm sticking my arm out doing the whole thing.
Questions, did they even recognize that?
Right.
Like, what's he doing?
Yeah. What's this idiot? Well, I mean, but that's enough. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
What's this idiot doing? It means they're paying attention and they're probably slowing down. And that's all I really care about at that right. point in time.
Look at me. Look at me.
Right. Look here, dummy. So, I don't know. Like, there was a thing on the news the other night that I was watching different parts and pieces of it, and they were talking about upcoming stuff. And there's this zero NOx zero something they're trying to get. Like, apparently they're way down, and I'm not complaining about them being way down, but like the number of pedestrian/cyclist fatalities in this city or county, I can't remember which municipality.
I think I did see vehicle deaths were
significantly down. And there is a nonprofit group in town that's part of Bike Walk Knoxville. It's a subset of that they have this initiative that American Cannon put place, because I know it's a city initiative, that's right, to try to get to zero pedestrian fatalities by 2040, I think is the target. And it's like, okay, it's a cool goal or whatever, but that's, and I'm not advocating for people to die. That's not what I want here, but that is, it's an unmanageable goal. It is doomed to fail. There is no world where the number of people whom use the roadways in the city of Knoxville, and especially as that number is going up because our population increase,
right.
Both bicyclists, walkers, and people driving, as the congestion increases. If we keep that number flat, we're doing great.
Yeah. Let alone the fact we have major interstates that run right through town.
Except for the one logical conclusion, if you really want to achieve that goal.
AI cars?
No cars. Which they've already succeeded on the Gay Street Bridge, so.
True.
I mean, that's truly, like, that is the logical, like, if you want to achieve that goal, that is the only logical conclusion to get there.
I like the idea of parts. I think Denver does it as like a 3 or 4 block area in the middle of town that's completely no cars. I
mean, I don't know. Like, there's fun parts of it, and I get it. Like the whole thing that the city of Knoxville was doing, they did the car-free weekends on Gay Street. Thought that was a cool idea on the weekends. But like when you get to the logistics of trying to run a business in one of those places, because like the car-free part's great for traffic and getting people to come in your front door, it gets really fucking difficult with your employees.
True. And
even more difficult with your vendors.
All right.
I'm trying to sell stuff here. Like you want my 700 case beer order? How far down the street this guy got to walk it? Right. Like how does he get it to my door? Like realistically, if he's not allowed to drive up here and do it, I have I have very little respect for most delivery drivers for most of the beer companies. They're a bunch of assholes. Everyone I've met, almost everyone's an asshole. But I have zero want to ever even think about trying to do a beer delivery to anywhere downtown Knoxville.
Right.
Like, no. Because I would like, and some of them do it, and this is why they're assholes. They'll just stop right in the middle of Gay Street, get out and do their delivery.
Yeah.
Completely in the middle of traffic.
Just double park
it, get their stuff, and get out of there. And I don't blame them, although I hate them for it. But I don't blame them either.
Right. They got a schedule.
Right, and unless the city or whatever is gonna put some sort of special thing in place where they can, like you drop your delivery off at the baseball stadium, and some cool like giant golf cart thingy can pick it up and do the last leg of the run, so you don't have to go through town in your big truck.
Gatlinburg has a small little commercial loading zone. Yeah,
and so I don't know. There's solutions, I would say, but to the original point, there is no planet where Tennessee or for Knoxville, Tennessee, and its exploding population is going to have zero pedestrian fatalities in the long run.
Yeah.
Unless we go to the logical conclusion. And I mean, one of the steps in there, and this it may be an ally to reach out to if I ever start really pushing for a light rail in Knoxville. Like, it's like, hey, you want less people getting hit by cars? Get more people riding this train. Get more people on the buses.
Right.
Even though one of the most, not non-fatality, but one of the more recent instances was a school bus hitting a kid on the way into a middle school.
When was that?
November. Which was really funny. Because fuck you, Knox County School Safety Club, or whatever the fuck you're called, our SROs. And fuck you, KPD, because the solution afterwards was almost comical. So the day it happened, where it happened, there was a teacher and an SRO officer, like with his like Knox County Schools cruiser, parked in the middle of the street where it happened. Weren't doing anything, weren't directing traffic, weren't doing anything, we were just standing out there. And then we got by it. And then for like 2 weeks afterwards, it was just that SRO officer sitting in his cruiser at that intersection, at that exit of the school where it happened. And so you're not doing anything.
It's supposed to encourage people to slow down if they see a car sitting there.
Right, but it was.
With
But
his lights on.
The incident that happened was the bus was coming out of the school parking lot, turning left onto Francis Drive there, and the kid was looking left and right like the kid's supposed to, but it didn't. But the exit was in front to the left of them. They didn't look there.
Yeah.
And the bus driver was doing the same thing, looking left and right at the traffic on the street, and started to pull out as the kid walked out onto the street. And it's like, okay, if you're going to stand out there, if you're going to put your car right there, stand out there, direct the traffic, man. Like, standing out there, yes, you're going to help the visibility of, like, you're going to see that human being in the middle of the street the whole time, and make sure there's not another human being walking across the street while you're doing it. But it's like, you're not doing anything to help anything. It was just it was so performative, I guess is the easiest way to say it. It was just this performative little thing that the school board, or that the SROs did. Right. Probably just on the behest of the Knox County Schools. Like, yeah, it was nothing that was, and I don't know, maybe it's just me because I'm weird, I'm an asshole, and I hate government stuff, and I like to hate on it, and I like to pick apart the dumbery that they do. But like, it screamed at me like all week, every time I pull, because I drive through that part every day. And every time I drove by it, I was like, this is fucking stupid. This is as performative as me taking my shoes off at the airport. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't make anybody safer.
I think a lot of airports have canceled that.
I know, because it never did anything. It was performance. I believe the term in the industry is called security theater. And it's literally like, if we have people around doing stuff, people are less likely to do the bad stuff. Right. Because there's people around doing stuff. It's not that any of the stuff that the people are doing is of anything of value. It's just that there's people around doing stuff. So people are more self-conscious about their ability to get away with bad stuff.
Right. So they put out the stats every once in a while, like, even though you would assume most people know they can't take a weapon onto through the airport, but you still see, like, I think that they've had like an increase in number of people that accidentally or whatever try to bring a gun on to, like, their carry-on. It's like, oh shit, I forgot I had my 357 in my handbag.
You got problems if you can forget a 357 ever. So for those of you that aren't gun people, just go pick up a brick and try to stick it on your person anywhere. Put it in your backpack, put it in your pocket, do whatever you want to do. Carry that brick around for a day, and tell me at any point during that day that you forgot you had a brick on you.
You can have a small 357, snub nose or something.
It's still a BC.
Still going to be heavy.
It's still a BC piece of metal on your person.
Right.
Guns are heavy, people. If you didn't know it already, guns are heavy. Even ARs, because that's really what an AR is. Armalite. That's the whole thing about the AR, is that they're a much lighter for all their function and stuff like that. It's a much lighter gun, but that's all it is. It's just composite materials instead of wood and steel.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lighter thing to carry around, but they're still heavy. I've never picked up a gun that I was like. I take that back. That little Luger that Austin has, but that thing's literally smaller than most TV remotes. It's a fun little gun. I want to get one. I need to get one because that's actually something I would carry around regularly instead of mine's too big to carry around. And mine's not very big. Mine. I think mine is technically a compact, where the lure in question is a subcompact.
Yeah.
I still think it's hilarious. My wife bought a gun purse. She just thought it was cute. Thought it was a cool little bag. And I was like, baby, I'm pretty sure that's a gun bag. She's like, what do you mean? And I was like,
see that extra little side pocket?
There's a little pocket, like there's a thin pocket on it that had Velcro on one side and this little thing on it that was stuck to the Velcro. I was like, that little thing, when you pull it off the Velcro, give it to me. She's like, okay. I give it to her. And I take my gun out and I put it in the thing. It's like, that's what that's for.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, it's still a cute bag. I was like, yeah, it's a great bag. I'm not mad at you at all for getting it. And actually, the actual little holster Velcro piece I like a lot more than the one that came with my bag. So I actually stole it.
Nice.
So wins where I can get them. Any new other laws in question? I'm sure there's about 10 million new ones because that's what we need.
I think it said there was 30.
I think the question we should be asking is, did they take any laws off the books this year? Did they subtract
that they
any?
didn't mention.
So it's still illegal to tie your alligator to the hitching post in downtown Knoxville?
No, they took that one off a while ago. I think. I don't know.
I think that needs to be the rule for a while. I think it needs to be a +1 -1 rule moving forward. I would like to pass a law to add to the book that says after this law is passed, every future law has to subtract a law in kind. They don't have to be related. They don't have to have anything to do with each other. You can take off the you can pass a law for this, and you can take off the rule that you have to have a faith to run for office in Tennessee. There's a starting point. I would just like to encourage our senators and our legislators in general to just start subtracting Damassery. Let's shrink the code down a little bit to make it a little bit more palatable, because it's still going to be massive. 'Cause that's my problem. I mean, that's the true problem with the whole thing. It's just too big. Nobody knows what it is. Lawyers don't know what it is. Cops don't know what it is. It's one of those like it's the substitute teacher dilemma. You know, you go to school and you get that teacher that's your teacher's pregnant and they're taking their maternity leave, and so you have a long-term substitute. The long-term substitute's job is just to stay one lesson ahead of where the class is. That's all they got to do.
Right.
And so I teach this lesson, and then tonight I read the lesson that I'm going to teach tomorrow. That's what cops, lawyers, and judges are doing. They only address it when they go figure out what it is and how it works and what it's supposed to be, and then they go find the president and do all that kind of stuff after it's in front of them. It's not that they already know it. Like some of it, yes, they already know it's still illegal to murder. It's always illegal to murder. But the different sub degrees of murder, and whether it's manslaughter or murder or whatever, all those details are figured out after it happens, not that it was ahead of time. That was a really rough sentence. I apologize. But all right, man. Well, let's see if I can remember which button to push. New year, new me. I got the right button on the first try.
Yay! Let's see here. Saw that there was I guess China just implemented a new tax. They're taxing condoms and contraceptive medications to try to encourage.
They need more babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Encourage babies.
Get you some more babies, China. Why? I don't get it.
Why? What?
Well, just on the logical, okay, so this gives me hope that AI isn't going to do the damage I think it's going to do, because China is way smarter in the long-term game. Period. It's the one bonus I have in a system where you don't elect a new leader every couple of years or whatever. Is if you understand, if you're playing the longer game, which China has done better since the 90s than maybe any other country on the planet, then you make policy decisions based on a much longer term because you don't have to worry about getting elected, right? So if China, what's their DeepSeek? Is their AI?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever their AI is that's out there in the market and doing and getting worked on and all that kind of stuff. If they still think that they need more people for the long-term economic and political capacity that is the country that they are in control of, if they need to increase the population for their own stability, then they don't believe the long-term fears, quote unquote, that I have about AI. Because if you get the productivity without the people, you don't need the people. That's a net negative on a system if the productivity is happening. It'll be harder to manage more people with less need for people because the AI is doing the productivity part. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, to an extent. Well, there's still a lot of hands-on industries that require hands-on labor.
Yeah,
there's a number of kind of like administrative things that can kind of get taken out. You
no,
can have AI do your accounting and things like that.
They're better at robots than we are too.
Yeah,
I feel like if they're not afraid of the AI taking all the jobs away, then, well, if they need more people, then they're not afraid of the AI taking all the jobs away. I guess is my take. Is what I'm trying to say. Because if the AI does what I fear the AI does, you would actually encourage less population because you need less people. Because you'll have less people that don't have work and don't have anything to do and are dying and are poor and listless and don't have a meaning to life because they don't have anything to do and they don't have any money and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And so if the productivity is still there with less people, those people can be managed easier than a larger population of people who are suffering and pointless.
I mean, presumably with kind of growing computer technologies, you're also kind of opening up that avenue for more, requiring more people to kind of be in that field to supplement more so on like IT people and even, electrical mechanics and whatnot.
See, I think physical IT will stick around, sure, but I think software engineers are dying. I think that's a dying industry.
Think so?
Sure. Because you can already do it. Very rudimentarily and not very great, but you can already have AI build you a video game.
Right.
And so all the engineering, all the software engineering that is building a video game is already going down. So you don't need more programmers and coders. And realistically, you probably shouldn't need many more like physical engineers to go out there and build stuff.
Right. It's not going to be exactly 1-to-1 or anything,
but that's interesting, though. That's exciting. That's the best news I've heard this year. Like, I really think that makes me feel better about AI.
What's that?
That China wants more babies.
No,
I feel like that's a.
Well, that's a lot of. I mean, we're in that issue as well.
Right, but I don't know that they have the same Ponzi scheme that we do that they're dealing with. Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. I've made that point 1,000 times already.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, because they have more. I think they have a level of socialized medicine. So I think they still have the same issue of the state kind of paying for different things.
Right, but they need
less people in that.
Right, they need taxable productivity.
Right.
To pay into the systems that pay for the old people.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when it gets down to it, people will revolt over grandma starving to death because the state didn't do what they said they were going to do.
Right.
That is one of those things that could bring on a revolution.
Right. That's why, like during the pandemic, when a lot of factories were getting shut down, there was a lot more state money going to basically pay factories while they were shut down and pay people while they were having to be forced to stay at home.
Tax and they get income tax on money that the taxes paid to give them, which is always a weird little thingy, but whatever.
Probably, yeah.
I did. I mean, it was on your it was on the tax return. Here.
Right, I was thinking of there, and I was like, I don't know, probably.
Yeah, but I would assume they do. All right, one more, let's do it.
I've seen this a couple times. I guess it's still going on. There was debate over how to bring back surfing in Germany's landmark English Garden. It escalated on Sunday after city workers removed a beam surreptitiously deployed over Christmas to restore a surfable wave in the river that runs through the park.
I've seen videos of it. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a pretty quick-moving river, and they put some sort of obstacle in there that forces the water to wave.
I was thinking it was in Berlin, but it might be in Frankfurt. Yeah, it's a small, little 3-foot wave.
Yeah, but it's an infinity wave. You can surf it forever.
Exactly. The Eisbach River.
I mean, I don't know. What's the complaint against letting them have it? People getting hurt and suing the city?
Let's see here. I don't know why they took it away initially. So at one point they took it, I guess there was debris that was building up.
I mean, I'd say it fucks with the flow of the river, but most of those European rivers are so worked. Like one of my favorite, I always talk about my Time Team show I watch all the time. Like how much of England was like boggy, swampy, marshy.
Let's see here. It looks like in May, there was a 33-year-old surfer that died after her board was caught underwater and she couldn't free herself from the attached leash.
I figure in that format you wouldn't wear a leash.
I mean, you still don't want to lose your board unless you want to chase it down the river.
Yeah, but there's stuff downriver and the water slows down, and that is unfortunate. Maybe that's the solution. No leashes. Or longer leashes?
Okay, it is in Munich. Okay.
Longer leashes, more surfing in downtown Munich.
Let's see here. I guess there's like a surfing association that even their website says it's not a way for beginners and not a place to start with river surfing, even if one has experience in the ocean. It warns of concrete blocks placed between the wave and breaks on the strong current. These are dangerous for inexperienced surfers because in case of an uncontrolled fall, one is pressed against them by several tons of water and gets off at best with serious bruises.
I mean, yeah, okay. Let's see what I'm going to guess. Richard Briggs' take on it is, "I'm protecting you from yourself." I mean, that's the long and short of it here. Like, it's not like a ton of people are dying in there, and it's not like there's a bunch of carcasses floating up on the shore downriver that the city's having to clean up. I guess there is some argument of like city emergency services are coming out there pulling people out and doing whatever.
Right.
That costs money. Just make the rules like we're not coming to save you. Don't get stuck.
We were learning when I was in Germany that I think it is still the law. Like if you have a sidewalk in front of your house during the wintertime, you're responsible for salting and keeping that clear. And it's basically you can be sued if somebody like slips and falls on the sidewalk in front of your house.
Man, I'm glad I don't live in Germany.
Yeah.
Because I'd go out there and I'd put signs up and be like, no cross, nope, out of order.
Walk at your own risk.
Cross the street.
Right.
The sidewalk's closed. I would put hours of effort into not shoveling my sidewalk.
Right.
For you fucks.
I did like how, and I think it's on like Sundays, there's like a 2-hour period that you're not allowed to like use like loud equipment basically.
I can get on board with that one.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. They had a specified kind of.
It's what's funny is like
time.
we had construction work going on in our yard today, and I was like, man, it's a good thing the neighborhood's used to this because it's all the time. We have that's one of the denotations going back in conversation about how I know there's a lot of growth going on. Is there's always within earshot construction going on.
Yeah,
around here. And it's significant enough that it's like you hear the equipment, you hear the beep of the reverse of the machine or whatever it is, constantly, all the time.
I think it was last week I was hearing a bunch of like banging, and I think I realized I haven't seen much going on, but I guess they're putting up like the big orange signs. So I think it was like the noise of like the street signs getting banged into the ground that says like road work ahead or whatever.
Up by your house or here?
Yeah.
Oh.
Looks like maybe they've been working on like stormwater because I've seen some of like the nets up.
Yeah, well,
just like 5-10 feet off the road.
They're done with it. They're half done with it now, and this is where I am a Larson J fan. Everybody is. If Larson came out to do an interview, he's going to be angry about his drive in on Morel with all these repetitive polls.
Oh yeah,
because they came in and KEB came in and put the big steel taller ones in. The power lines are further up off the ground, which is great. Blah blah blah. But next to every single one, there's still a wood pole with some AT&T or Comcast or something still on it.
Just thought about it. Even with like the putting more underground, it's also going to save the city money on having to bring out like the tree trimming trucks and shit.
No, the city doesn't pay for that. KEB does.
Now do they?
Yeah, the utilities are the ones that are out there topping trees. Ruining our or trees along the roadways. But I mean, again, like,
sometimes it looks good. Sometimes just they basically take like a brush hog and just put like a flat line and fuck up a bunch of trees.
Well, I've got like one of my favorites in what tree topping does is there's a pine tree in my backyard. It's been here before we moved in. Blah blah blah. It literally goes up about 15 feet, and it got topped at some point, and so one of the branches that were left from the topping has now become the second trunk.
Yeah.
And so it goes up like 15 feet and then has like an arm that goes out and then goes straight up. Because it's a big, tall, like it's one of those pine trees that goes straight up.
Right.
And so it's like, well, you took my top off, so I'm just going to go around it and go straight up. And so it has this weird, like, up,
reach for the
over,
sun.
and back up. Which is going to have to get taken down one of these days. Like, that whole line back there is going to have to get taken down at some point. Because it's all up in some shiz. And I got to figure out how to do part of that shiz for the project that we're working on right now. They just broke ground today. We can go out there and look at it here in a second. All right, people, that's the show. I plead the fifth on any building project that's happening in my yard. I have permits. I've done it. I'm playing by the book here, people. And as per usual, I guarantee you I'm going to have a story on the show about how playing by the rules and getting my permits and doing all that shit's going to screw me. I guarantee it. But it hasn't yet, so fingers crossed. almostagreement@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, website, almostagreement.com. Keep an eye out for an April mayoral debate. If you have contact with any of the mayors, tell them they better fucking be there or they're going to be shamed and not voted for. Help me out. Let's make this thing a thing and let's make it a regular thing. Maybe we'll do a primary one and a general if the primary one goes well. Because it's important. We need to get these people to show their ideas to you in full and have to answer to their ideas with some semi-combative argumentation. Anyway, almostagreement@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week with a brand new show. It's 2026, and elections are basically tomorrow, so get on board. Like May 6th, May 5. We have less than 5 months. Oh, almost exactly 1 year ago today was when the SWAT team kicked in that kid's door and killed him down in south side of town. Anyway, bye, everybody.